All right, let's jump right into this. Have you ever actually stopped to think about the literal power of the words coming out of your mouth? Really thought about it? In this explainer, we're unpacking a pretty provocative piece of source material that suggests the magic behind spoken language isn't just some poetic metaphor. According to this theory, language might actually be the literal operating system of our reality.
So the core question here is, what if every single word you've ever spoken was actually a spell? There's this fascinating connection hiding right there in plain sight. Think about it. When we put letters together, what do we call it? We call it spelling. The bold premise of our source is that arranging letters into words is quite literally casting spells over your life and your entire environment. Crazy, right?
And hey, this etymological link goes even deeper. Take the everyday word grammar. Historically, it actually derives from the word grimoire. And if you're not familiar, a grimoire is a traditional book of magic spells. The argument here is that the fundamental building blocks of language, things like grammar and even cursive writing, were originally designed and understood as magical systems used to cast spells and curses. Well, that brings us to a massive, massive question. If words are spells, who's casting them? Or, more importantly, who taught us how to cast them? The historical narrative we're looking at really questions why the ability to decode the true meaning of these everyday spells was seemingly wiped from our collective public knowledge. The source outlines what appears to be a coordinated timeline of linguistic control. It points all the way back to 1928, which is when Edward Bernays published his famous book on propaganda. Then, the source highlights a huge shift in 1946, the widespread removal of etymology, the study of word origins, from public schools globally. Fast forward to today, and that deep linguistic literacy has essentially been replaced by text speak, emojis, and just rote memorization. And the source points out a really stark contrast in how language is taught today depending on who you are. While the general public gets handed this dumbed-down vocabulary that arguably limits critical thinking, elite institutions take a totally different approach. Over there, students are still taught Latin, Greek, and Sanskrit. And the claim is, these aren't just taught as dead languages, but as ancient frequency codes used by the elite to program reality, while leaving the rest of us with a corrupted, powerless tongue. Okay, let's look at some specific, everyday examples the source uses to back this up. First up is a big one, mortgage. When you decode this etymologically, mort means death, think mortal, or mortuary. Gage means a pledge or a binding agreement. Put them together, and the argument is that when you buy a house, you are literally signing a death pledge to a bank. It's pitched as a linguistic magic trick, broadcasting its true, limiting nature right to our faces. Here's another wild one, government. Govern means to control, to steer, or to direct. Ment comes from the Latin for mind, like mental. So the literal translation, mind control. The theory posits that these words are specifically designed to program us, and we just blindly agree to these terms simply because, we were never taught how to read the underlying code. Look at how we legally agree to things using the word understand. Break that down into under and stand, and the literal meaning is to stand beneath or take a position of submission. So, according to the source material, when you say I understand in a legal agreement or to an authority figure, you are quite literally positioning yourself beneath their authority, and you probably don't even realize you're doing it.
Okay, so the crucial point here is that this goes way, way beyond just history and word origins. The source makes a hard pivot right into physics and biology. The assertion is that words are frequency technology. Basically, language isn't just descriptive. It doesn't just passively describe the world around you. Instead, it acts as an active biological and electromagnetic technology that literally creates your reality.
To back this claim up, the explainer often cites the famous experiments of Dr. Masaru Emoto. He basically exposed water to different spoken and written words, and then froze the water to look at the resulting crystals under a microscope. And the results they point to are pretty startling. Words of love and gratitude formed these perfect, symmetrical geometric crystals. But phrases like "you make me sick" resulted in completely chaotic, distorted, and broken formations. So why does a water experiment matter to you and me? Well, think about this number, 70%. The human body is roughly 70% water. And the average person speaks something like 16,000 words a single day. The source argues this means every single one of those 16,000 daily words is an electromagnetic frequency, actively creating either beautiful geometric coherence or chaotic distortion right down to the cellular level in our very own bodies. Taking this a step further into the realm of quantum physics, the source looks at the famous quantum double-slit experiment. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in a wave of infinite possibilities until they're observed. At that point, they collapse into a single definite reality. The argument presented here is that our spoken words actually act as that observation device, collapsing infinite potential into a physical reality that we actually experience. Interestingly, the source points out that ancient texts have actually mirrored this exact idea for centuries. Take the famous scripture, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." The premise here frames the Bible and other ancient texts not just as religious documents, but as mechanical frequency manuals. They essentially confirm that creation happens explicitly and mechanically through spoken language, not just passive thoughts.
Which leads us to what the source calls the absolute most powerful phrase in our entire vocabulary, I am. This is defined as a state of pure present tense existence, the ultimate state of creator consciousness. The idea is that whatever follows those two little words acts as an instant literal command to the quantum field. When you say I am, you aren't just describing yourself, you are literally instructing reality.
Just notice the massive contrast in how we usually speak versus how we could speak. Take the phrase, "I'm trying to lose weight." The word trying subconsciously programs failure. It literally means attempting but not succeeding. You're basically casting a victim spell on yourself. Shift that to, "I'm becoming healthier." The source notes this is active, high-frequency creator language that commands positive, progressive change without coding in failure.
Here's another highly practical example from the material. Saying, "I need more money" broadcasts a frequency of scarcity, lack, and desperation. It jams your nervous system straight into survival mode. But if you shift that exact same desire to, "I'm ready to receive," you transition into an open, expectant state. It's a massive, game-changing shift from a desperate survival vocabulary to magnetic creator language.
So, how do we actually apply all this knowledge? The source recommends 4 actionable steps to perform a complete linguistic detox. This whole process is designed to help you reclaim your power and consciously shape your reality. Let's walk through them together, because this is exactly where the theory turns into daily practice. Step 1 is a strict 7-day vocabulary detox. You need to completely, 100% eliminate 7 specific words from your speech. Can't, try, have to, need to, always, never, and but. The material considers these forbidden words because they actively cast spells of limitation, obligation, and self-sabotage over your life. The goal is to catch yourself before you even say them and actively rephrase your thoughts. Okay, steps 2 and 3 involve reconstructing your I am statements and committing to a morning reality decree. The source highly recommends speaking this exact template out loud before you even touch your phone in the morning. Ready? It goes. I am identity, I create reality, I attract experience, I embody quality. It's all about consciously setting your reality's tuning fork before the chaotic frequency of the outside world sets it for you. Finally, step 4 is doing your very own etymology investigation on the words you use every day. To wrap our heads around this, let's look at one final, honestly beautiful word from the source, human. When you break it down, hu means light and man means mind. So, at your very etymological root, you are quite literally a light being. The source uses this as a powerful reminder of your true underlying nature, meant to empower you as a conscious creator. We've covered a tremendous amount of ground in this explainer today, looking at language through the dual lenses of hidden history and quantum mechanics. So I'm going to leave you with a provocative challenge directly from the source material. If your words are the observation devices that collapse infinite potential into physical form, what reality will you observe into existence today? The universe is listening, so step into your sovereignty and choose your spells wisely.